Jokes aside, audio is fine here. We're going to go ahead and get started now as we're going to go ahead and jump into Zealots versus Team Expert, game number 1 in this best of 5 series, and we're going to be going to Infernal Shrines.
We had some technical difficulties. Someone dropped my kofefe, so we're back now and on full caffeine, ready for game number 1, guys. So let's jump right in. We are, of course, on Infernal Shrines, and to the left side, it's the Zealots. Currently, looking at our sweet lineup for the first game, we have Garrosh being played by Mopsy at that front line, Zamani with a second front line on Sonya, Gran Paquete and Shad on the 2 supports with Oriel and Tassadar, and Poik on Vala for the damage.
On the right side, in the red, showing us Medivh once again, because for once he was not banned out. It'll be ADRD, Bad Benny on ETC, Nick on Chromie, Kirsten on Rhaegar, and a Thorough playing Illidan.
All right, so game number, like we talked in the draft already a little bit about how Team Expert is currently in a spot where they have a pretty solid draft here. ETC has taken a high priority in the European scene, and for very good reason. And in particular, what's scary about their setup is that with Medivh, they have a fantastic setup for a good mosh pit with a ley line seal. And also ETC should really work well together with also, of course, Medivh against Garrosh in general. ETC known as a little bit of a Garrosh counter, and then you have the portals if someone is thrown into the midst of the opponent's team.
Yes, that is correct. When you look at Team Expert, the only one that I look at that I'm a little bit fearful for is that Chromie, if she ever does get pot up. But you're right, Medivh is there just to back him up right away with the portals, and knowing ADRD, he should be able to save his teammates when need be. Bad Benny doing a pretty good job of anchoring these bushes and making sure the rotations are slow for Zealots.
Yeah, and let's face it, if Chromie is in a spot where Garrosh can just simply walk up to her and throw her over, then you done goof. That's the moment where you definitely screwed up.
Or you're a legend at bringing out the baits. But we'll go with the done goof theory for now.
Also, when we're looking at the opponent setup, we have Oriel now back in. Now keep in mind that this is of course the live patch right now, which means that Oriel lost out on her level 7 talent. So she's definitely a bit weaker than before. The cooldown reduction level 7 for her heal was pretty powerful, but she still is very solid as one of the double tanks. So that's something that we're going to see here. And keep also in mind that, of course, with Oriel, you have a lot of sustain in long fights since you're not dependent on mana, but just simply on the damage that your main damage dealer dishes out.
Yep, that'll require the team to be a little bit more careful on their rotations and making sure not to take too much damage and being willing to spread back and go back to that Oriel and get the heals up because of that cooldown reduction not being available. Level 4, right around the corner for both of our teams now, and that should be the next priority with the Shrine activating in the middle of the map now. No kills for either team quite yet, and actually in terms of experience, we are very close.
Yeah, we are. Level 4 is about to hit, and it's party time here as we have already the team splitting towards the Shrine, but having still a few heroes on lane for the extra experience and also, of course, the push. Just Illidan, for example, at that bot lane, starting to work on the towers together with Rhaegar. So you can already see the Team Expert is actually very eager to not even go for the first Punisher, but instead looking for value at that bot lane.
Yep, very common strategy as of late. Typically what you'll do, if you notice that your opponent is starting to split foot, you'll go ahead and pull off your tank or your best wave clear and try to handle that push that will be coming your way. But you do give up the actual Shrine phase, which will be something that they have to worry about. Hang on, though. Zarmany just gets caught off right away.
Yeah, nice kill. It was really well done here. A good shot also from Nick after the lockdown against Sonya. So the first blood in favor of Team Expert. And they are actually looking good overall. They got nice value on lane. They are also starting to catch up on the minion stacks with Curse now taking the Shrine control. So Zealots are in a bit of an awkward spot here. They have to wait for Sonya to be back in the fight.
Have you talked about the level 1 here for Garrosh?
I actually haven't.
Actually, Unrivaled Strength getting picked up. This did get buffed with this patch, so now we get a little bit more range, a little more damage.
I mean, we have seen it before, but it was... I think it was more so an NA talent than in Europe. Europe usually started to go into the quest talent more so than anything else. But in North America, it was definitely one of the more often picked talents from Roll20 and Justin in particular. But at this point, Europe, after the buff, now is starting to use it as well. I've seen it a few times, but with Garrosh, of course, it's still this weird dynamic where he hasn't really found his win ratio in Europe yet. He's still at 0%. Bad Benny with a good slide. Talking Garrosh, he's in trouble. Trying to push a Zero back, but there's the kill. And the Orc goes down.
Orc goes down, but still Zealots are in the lead, 37-34. Can they finish the last couple of minions here to get the Punisher? Team Expert making a case of going for it, but they actually are going to lose out on the Punisher, but Zealots lose their Sonya.
ADRD, look at that, going full God mode as he saves a Zero. I mean, that was insane. That guy had no hit points whatsoever. I was just like, yeah, he's definitely done. And then all of a sudden, the shield comes in and ADRD is like, not on my watch, bro. I gotcha. So saves the blind man. One good deed a day.
There you go, Medivh bringing it in here. And again, before we get off this level 1 talent, the Unrivaled Strength, the reason why I like it so much is because they have the Sonya. When the Punisher goes in for the engage, you now have the ability to throw Sonya in with them and go for the hard fight and try to kill your opponent before maybe a portal even comes down. So I really hope that does pay off for Zealots, because so far they have been focusing on the Shrine and they have been getting it. So if they can continue to do that throughout the match, I can see that level 1 and Sonya, the synergy coming together.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, in general, you have like a lot of targets that you can use for that, but Sonya for them works in this case quite nicely. Overall, when we're looking at the map, the Zealots are starting to become a little bit more aggressive. I like that they invade the camp here, try to also provide vision so that they can take the fountain down. And the level 7 talent for Oriel, what we have actually already seen in Korea a little bit, in case you haven't seen the Energized Cord now taken as well. So this is definitely something that we're going to see a bit more often now that the cooldown reduction is gone.
Energized Cord there, helping out with those basic attacks, increasing the hope that you do get in from the aggressive Ariel. So you're able to offset that hope that you would normally not be getting by getting in there and getting into your opponent's face. Should be seeing Ariel being aggressive and helping out that Vol with the auto attacks.
Now, we've been talking about ETC a lot during the draft, and I want to highlight again that we have now Echo Paddle on level 7, which is a crucial talent if you're trying to play ETC, particularly if you're playing him in the solo lane, which is not the case here, but still a fantastic talent to take, which gives him, first of all, AoE clear that he can use for wave clear on lane, but also when we're talking about Infernal Shrines, it's a great talent when you're trying to go for those stacks on the shrines themselves.
Yep, clearing them out there, the extra 250%?
Yes.
Yes, extra 250% on minions and perks, whatever is PvE basically. Very, very strong there. 9.5 hitting for Team Expert and 9.25 for Zealots. With the next shrine activating, both of our teams will have the chance to move towards that level 10. Level 10, in terms of actual heroics, who do you think is favored here when they hit 10?
I would definitely say Team Expert. The synergy that they have on Medivh and ETC alone is already something that I find fantastic.
Oh.
Nice attempt here to get RD in a bad spot, but that didn't really work out. And Mopsio has overstepped a little bit here. I love how Expert immediately capitalized on the situation that occurred. Yeah. First of all, it was the Zealots trying to make the play, but then we have immediately Chromie with a slowing stance, pushing Garrosh in a very awkward spot here, and that eventually leads to his death. So it was very well exploited by Team Expert. Yep,
all started there with Curson dropping in that cleanse, making sure Medivh could get away. ETC going in for the power slide, turning it around, and they get the kill on the Garrosh.
It also highlights another thing. It highlights how difficult it is going to be to get value out of Garrosh and his Wrecking Ball, just simply because who do you throw? No matter who you throw, Medivh, if he has the cooldown ready, will have that portal in position to save the target. And if he himself is thrown over, he can just simply shield himself, use the portal, and move out. Noteworthy also, now that we're on level 10, is that Illidan still went into the hunt, has received a huge cooldown increase, but depending on the situation and depending on how you play on the map, it is still the better talent to take here over Metamorphosis.
Chromie gets thrown here, but the big Force of Will come out and the Ancestor Healing to keep her alive. She's able to portal down the bottom side, and on full display here is what we've been talking about since the draft. How do you get the kills here? With the portal coming out from Medivh, Chromie, who was in danger of death, and to point out, Zealots played that very well. They played around the cleanse, they got the throw, they were able to capitalize on the engagement, but Medivh just being that one X factor that allowed Chromie to get away.
What we just saw from Zealots, on the other hand, was also a smart move, making sure that the fountain is down already. So at this point, they can, of course, now play for the Punisher. But between all of this, look at that bot lane. That is really what we also need to focus our attention to, since we now have the Punisher taken. Since Illidan has by now taken down the fort. So that was a massive trade in favor so far of Team Expert, which are a level ahead now, especially since also Rhaegar, after dropping the Ancestral, moved into the mid lane, caught additional experience, and is now working on a camp.
Working on a camp, pushing them in here. But Zealots do get the Punisher, and this is where they can get the trade-off. Maybe they can push this top lane and work on a keep wall, start to break down maybe a keep. But with Rhaegar and Illidan being on the middle and the bottom side, they have to be decisive. And right now, they're trying to figure out what they want to do. And so far, they decided to go ahead and go to the middle lane and clear up.
Exactly. So it's a 4-4-4 after the Punisher has now taken the one at the top lane. But Rhaegar has pushed in the mid lane even more. And during all of this, Illidan was still busy at the bot lane, pushing the lane out even further, which now forced the Zealots down with Sonya. And this is really where the hunt comes into play again. Think about how Expert is trying to utilize it. They are trying to use that pseudo-global to their advantage. So whenever we see a spawn of any temple in the middle or up at the top, Illidan can simply push to the bot lane, where we now do not see a fort anymore, and force someone down. Zealots don't have the Haka, they don't have a Force, they don't have anybody that can actually react to this with joining the fight, whereas Illidan can always, as soon as he sees someone at the bot lane trying to counter him, immediately hunt top and then join a team fight and turn this into an advantageous position. So the increase on the cooldown in that sense doesn't even matter if you play it properly. It just means that you shouldn't probably move between lanes by hunting.
I do enjoy how Zealots are trying to mitigate that, though. They are looking for ways to break open their opponent and force engages. They found it earlier with the Chromie, which, granted, the kill didn't come out, but they forced a cleanse. They got Ancestral Healing off, and they made Medivh use portals in a way where they can clear out the Punisher. If they can continue to find these moments and find these angles to where at least they trade out something, they should be able to get in a spot where we head in the late game, and maybe that Illidan gets mitigated slightly.
Yeah, this is something that they have to try and see how they're going to deal with it. Maybe they can force something here. And they're trying to force it right now. Bad Benny is already in the middle of things. The slowing sand has been dropped. Here comes the Aegis. Mobsio is low. Oh, the kill nearly, but there comes the Ancestral. Bad Benny is safe so far. Not a single death, but it starts up with a double kill against Zealots as Garrosh, Tacita, and now Sonya fall, and this is only going to be the beginning of the end. Mosh Pit even dropped to a lockdown Vala, and both of those guys are going to die here.
Final one standing here will be the Auriel. Grandpa turns around for the damage, and they're actually not focusing him down too quickly here. Finishing off the Master's Touch here for ADRD, keeping him on the low side, but trying to keep him in the area to where they can delay and stagger deaths.
What a scumbag move. You don't kill the target, you just keep him alive long enough so you get your stacks together.
It's pretty brilliant too.
It was pretty brilliant, but that is still, I mean, that is just mean. Not only do you get the staggered death against your opponent, you're just basically signaling, hey, I disrespect you so much, the only thing you're good for is to give me stacks.
Your life legitimately means nothing. I'm just on a quest. Please let me queue you a couple times. Okay, now you can die. Incredible play there by Team Expert, and they get a 3-level lead due to it.
I've not seen this before. That was good.
You're so tickled right now.
Yeah, I am. It's just the audacity. I've seen a lot of staggered deaths. It makes sense to keep the last target alive a bit longer so you can stagger the death and you get more presence and more dominance on the map. But they just simply used him as a bot to stack the quest. This is awesome. I love it.
Well, now they're going to turn around and work on a Punisher, and they're already halfway done here, over halfway done, as they're about to hit 30 on the minions, get the Punisher pushing in the middle, and start to open up that map more. 16-14, and with Team Expert having a Medivh, he just floats above the opponents and continues to control the pace of the game.
Yeah, it's a really good point that you bring up, because we've been talking so much about the Leyline Seal, we talked about portals, about shields, what Medivh really offers here, but we haven't even touched on the vision aspect that we have been talking about a lot in the past, but we haven't even highlighted it for this game. The safety alone that you get by being on a shrine in any lane while Medivh is hovering over the opponent's team, so you know how much time they're going to need to rotate between these lanes and set a gank up, is absolutely fantastic. It gives you so much just confidence, and oh my god, look at Mobsio once again being attacked here.
Yep, he baited over the Punisher, but Bad Benny realizing that went for the power slide, made sure he got stunned and got more damage in, making that tank a little bit less robust here.
Yeah, and also, in the meantime, of course, we still see Illidan at the top lane. With Hunt, he can always join up whenever he wants, and Sonya has now to react. But the wall has basically been broken through already. At least one tower has fallen. We see a 3-level lead, 9-0 kills in favor of Team Expert, 18 versus 15. And of course, that also means that they have their 16 talent way ahead of the opponent's team.
And the 16 will be coming for Zealots soon. They are still 3/4 away, as you were mentioning. Now, I'm trying to see a world here where we can actually have a moment for the Zealots to get into a win. And I think it comes down to that Warlord's challenge. If they do get the engage they want, and they're able to hit it on Medivh and stop that Force of Will from coming out, use the taunt, make sure he can't use that Force of Will, Zealots do have a lot of upfront damage that can be devastating. With the Spear at level 7, and then Rain of Vengeance into Vala multi-shot build, you should be able to burn pretty much any target except for ETC on the opposing side. So they need to find a way to control ADRD and make him make a mistake.
Which is going to be rough, but playing around cooldowns would be one way how you can try and accomplish that. If they get that burst in with a bit of lockdown and can kill a target, then Zealots definitely have what it takes to turn the momentum. But it's going to be extremely difficult considering how far behind they already are. And Team Expert, of course, is now starting to push that advantage. They play perfectly around that global, and I really love that Illidan now is to be found again at the top lane, while the rest of the team is pushing through the bot and attempting to break through the wall to open up another potential keep.
Zealots waiting for that 16, hoping for it to get here. The slowing sands making the minions be a little bit late too, so they can't push up and start to actually deal with these impalers that are pushing in on the bottom side. Bad Benny holding that front line too, trying to keep an eye on where the opposing team is with the addition of ADRD on the Medivh, and Illidan continues to keep pushing in top. Does Zealots decide to go ahead and go for the hard engage now? Do they move in? Because they need to with the 19.25 set up for Team Expert.
And just look at this minimap. The entire minimap is in the control of Team Expert. They control everything except for the last row of defense, which is the keeps here. And by now, Illidan is working on the camp to the top right. Still, Shrine spawns top as well, so this camp can easily be defeated while the Zealots move towards it. But as you already said, time's ticking as Team Expert is heading into level 20, and Zealots, they would love to take a fight right now, but I highly doubt that Team Expert is even going for the Shrine before they hit their Storm Talons.
Zealots just need to push, they need to go for it. They're starting to move already to the top side. They might think this is their last chance here to actually stay in the game. And here's where it gets scary. Team Expert, they can push bottom. They can work on a keep. They don't have to do anything here. They have all the power in the world.
Well, they just have to rotate Illidan down, which is exactly what they're doing again. And Illidan, of course, by now has also his level 20 upgrade. He has his Storm Talent, so we have nowhere to hide. And at this point, this looks insane. Zealots are willing to take a 16 versus 20 talent fight, but the thing is, they have to. This is the last fight they're going to get.
And they have to do it against a Crowley and Medivh, who are legends at poking. But hang on, the group just come in here. Hunt comes off across the map. Mopsy will be the lockdown target as he's gotten bursted.
Yeah, slowing stats immediately being used. Leyline Seal already has to follow up as we're seeing ADR. And more, we have immediately ETC going in with the March Pit. The Tour Burst, the kill against Garrosh. And now Team Expert is moving in. The Ancestral is hitting Illidan as the shield from Medivh already comes through. Zarmany with a spin to win, trying to make sure that his team survives a little bit longer, but ADR already opened up another portal into the backline. That Benny moves in and drops not only Oriel, but also Sonya.
Oriel and Sonya dead here. Tassadar and Fallout. Well, nope, just Tassadar standing here. Shad, the last one standing for his team. Power Slide will end his life. Punisher does go to the Zealots, but the top lane is pushing in, and Team Expert starts to chunk across the map.
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. You won a Punisher, but you lost the game.
Yep, game is done here with Illidan on the front line, already moving in. Keep is done. We just have Garrosh spawning at the moment, but the core is the main prize here for Team Expert as they toy with the Zealots in this matchup, get a 4-level lead, and win team fights easily, 14-0 kills.
Dominant performance for sure. 20 versus 17 in levels, and right now the core is dropping, and this is game as Team Expert, with a fantastic draft, are taking the lead in the series against Team Zealot.
Yeah, just a bit too controlled there. There was a moment where Zealots at 16-20, their last attempt to even come back in the game needed to be a last-ditch effort where they just beeline across the map. But with Medivh floating above them, you could tell they were scared / fearful of going in for that engage because they knew that Team Expert could play around it with complete control with Poke and Illidan to a point where Zealots just went for the all-in on the Punisher and got picked off.
I mean, I'm just saying it flat out. I think Abathar as a ban was a massive mistake. Either you ban ETC or you ban out Medivh, but you can't simply just give both of them over right at the beginning of the draft to a team that is notorious for using both of these heroes. Abathar would have maybe been a strong argument in favor of Expert if they pick him, but giving ETC and Medivh over was even worse. Yeah. And just to underline that again, we have the last team fight, so let's take another closer look at that.
This was the team fight at the very north here, 20-16. And look at the control. Slowing Sands controlling the bush on the right side, Medivh in the top right. And here's the thing, ADRD can go in for Poke because Bad Benny is there to help him out. The moment that the engage comes in from Garrosh, Bad Benny power slides, Hunt comes out, Aegis is forced to be utilized, and you see the mages on the backside, they're in complete safety right now.
Yeah, there comes the mosh pit immediately, so they are going in against Garrosh, and Turbas moves in, and then we have the portal, and with that portal they can once again go straight into just to safety, can move into the back if they want to. We're going to see another portal from ADRD any second to just force the issue even more. And in the meantime, Zealots can't even run away. They know they have to at least fight for the Punisher and win it, and then save a few of the targets, but they can't even accomplish that. It's just this game has completely turned against them. They had no chance there. The draft alone was extremely strong for Team Expert, and the Zealots just had no tools in their lineup.
So going into game number 2, I want a Medivh ban, period, against Team Expert. It's what you have to have here. Even looking at this draft, Dahaka being banned out, if you ban out ETC, if you ban out any member here, you have members on Zealots that actually can play the Abathur if it were to be left open, if they were to grab Medivh first, or if they were to grab the ETC instead. You have options. If you take away the Abathur, you pick up the ETC. Mopsio is a king on ETC. It's one of his best heroes to play here. Just play around the draft a little bit more. Don't worry about that Abathur so much.
I'm still blown away that after ETC, first of all, the Abathur pick, as I explained, just for the reasons mentioned, that didn't make a lot of sense considering what was still up. Then ETC is taken. And the second ETC is taken, you immediately know what they're thinking about.
Yeah.
The chances that Expert picks Medivh are incredibly high. Yes,
it's like 100%.
There are other options for them, but given their history, given that you already have the follow-up for the Leyline Seal, Medivh is just, I mean, that pick is so obvious, and you could see Zealots hesitate a little bit. And I think at that moment, they might have been thinking about picking Medivh for themselves. But not doing that and just heading everything over to the opponent, that was a bit suicidal, and that's exactly what was reflected in the game itself. So right now, I believe that this is a bit of a wake-up call for Zealots. I would be very surprised if we don't see different drafting from them heading into game number 2.
Yeah, there's definitely some redemption here going into game number 2. They can switch up their drafts. But one of our favorite things to do here at the HGC is player comparisons. Let's check out some of our players and get a feel for how they differ, how they're different, what they do very similar when it comes to the matchups. As Team Expert and Team Zealots are facing off, let's look at Zarmony and a Thorough Angel.
Yeah, the first thing that immediately comes to mind is that Zarmony is a lot more handsome than Ethereal Angel. Ethereal Angel
Nailed it.
Ethereal is a little bit orange.
Yeah, he's a little bit orange there. Needs to work on his logo a little bit, maybe get some more mixes up. In all honesty, these are matchups too that look at that I think if you there's a factor that is not being shown on the screen, and that's that Thorough Angel plays a wide variety of heroes. Zarmony plays a lot of Dahaka, and that's very displayed here. His takedowns are very high. He comes in for the rotations that help us fight. Also, the hero damage a little bit more, but the siege damage for a Thorough Angel on that Illidan spikes up a little bit more. He's been playing a lot of Illidan in the past.
I'm actually blown away how similar these stats are.
Yeah.
I did not expect it to be this close. I mean, just look at the KDA ratio at deaths. Kill participation is identical. So I would have expected Ethereal to heavily dominate that matchup here. So I must say, Zarmony, I underestimated him a bit.
I do think Zarmony is one that can be targeted. I want to see it more from teams where you try to get out the Dahaka and that Sonya, the two that he goes to right away, and see what he adjusts to. In the past, we've seen him go on top of an Anubarak, but when you allow him to be comfortable and play the heroes that he does play, the Dahakas and the Sonyas, he's hanging out with the likes of someone like a Thorough in terms of stats.
Zarmony has actually been criticized by other teams in the past quite a bit. Not to an extent where they were blaming him for loss or anything, but where they said, yeah, he needs to step it up. And recently when you talk to teams, usually most of them mention that they feel Zarmony is one of the players that, thanks to the regular HGC practice, has improved a lot, and that's reflected in these stats. And again, I have to say, I did not expect him to just be absolutely on par with the Ethereal Angel here, so that was pretty impressive.
We'll see if Expert intends to target Zarmony or if any other teams do that in the future. But for now, Zarmony and crew are looking pretty darn good. Remember, they are on a 3-game win streak here in the HGC. But so far, Team Expert in game number 1 of this best-of-5 series really put on full display just how much they can outclass their opponent if they're given the tools that they are known for. Yeah,
I mean, Expert had, again, it comes down to the draft for me. They had a very cool draft. It was also a comfortable draft for them, where they were on heroes that they absolutely love to play. So Expert with the win, and I guess we are ready for map 2.
Let's do it. Battleground, game number 2. Where are we going between our teams? It's going to be BOE. As Expert gets a pick, Zealots will take first.
All right, so BOE, we have actually seen a lot of cool strategies here. Keep in mind that Tyrande is now back. And she's not really a hero that every team is going to pick. She's not a hero that we are going to see on every single battleground. But Battlefield of Eternity is definitely one of the battlegrounds where she is going to be a little bit more common thanks to her trait, which interacts, of course, with the objective as well. So that's a hero that we might see here now. but we'll find out.
Yeah, I hope so. Speaking to ADRD this last week as we got prepped for these matches, he mentioned that they have been getting a little bit more creative as of late, going back to the roots of being experimental. And so he mentioned that there is some crazy stuff that we could see this weekend. Maybe we'll see it here on BOE, maybe not. Tyrande could be one of those heroes that does become under that umbrella of crazy. But it is kind of interesting to see how much Tyrande got mixed in yesterday during the matches that we saw.
Yeah, I mean, I would not really mix Tyrande in the crazy back just yet. That's reserved for your Cho'Gall, your Gazlo, Murkies, basically Trickster heroes that we find in there. Tyrande is actually solid now, especially with that cooldown reduction that she now has on level 13. The Owl build with talents on 1 and 13 can dish out insane damage towards the late game. And even before those changes, we have seen teams dabble a little bit in Tyrande, but ever since then, she has made a bigger appearance, and I think that's going to continue.
Yeah.
She's not going to be one of those heroes you're going to see in every single draft on every single map, but I think she will be picked up more frequently.
For those wondering why she's good on BOE, Hunter Mark does apply to the Immortal, which is going to help you burn it down. Also, the Owl build that Caldor was mentioning, I have yet to be able to dabble on it, but I really want to play it.